Hey, we got the blue shirt memo this week.
That's right.
And the reddish hues of ties,
Some type of checkered pattern as well. How you like that?
Hey, how about that?
Send your cards and letters to Max.
Watching your 4-week forecast, my friend,
Yes.
It does not look like ideal harvest weather over the heart of the belt.
That's right. Now, we've been peddling in good confidence the likelihood of a wet and active weather pattern for the heartland, the Corn Belt. Maybe some deviation, or at least adjustment to the cold air concerns. We've seen some of those prods of cold air lay out, but we've been missing a mechanism to tug it down, if you will, with systems of a tropical nature to come up the Appalachians, the Western Atlantic, in one form or another, remnant or true tropical storm or hurricane.
That hurricane season has been, again, quiet.
It's 25-plus years of the business here. Still kind of scratching my head. I'm thinking that, and we've talked about this off camera a couple of times,
right,
that the wind speeds are running maybe about 20, 25 knots, a little bit stronger than you'd like to see in the southwestern Atlantic and the Caribbean. And came across some research and some data out of Africa. I guess there's been an increase in dust storms out there, and that somehow, I don't know the exact dynamics of it all, but tends to suppress these little waves that propagate off the African coast to get into the Atlantic and begin to accelerate and intensify on their westward journey. So those two elements, I think, are keeping the tropics. While we've had a bunch of these little named weak systems come into play, the big ones have been really out of play. And I think we may very well go that way here for the balance of the hurricane season. So with that thinking in mind, we're adjusting the cold air concerns more back to a more climatological spot and colder and earlier than usual into the northern and central plains and the Rockies, as you see on the TV show.
You put moisture over the belt every week of your 4-week forecast. Are we talking big amounts?
I think just maybe slightly above the climatological normals that you would encounter for a given week. It's not like every week's going to be 1 to 3 inches and you're out. But let's say on average, as you get through late September and October, usually the normal average amounts are about 1/3 to 2/3 of an inch. So we could be very well looking at 1/2 to an inch in many locales each week. You love to have that over the past 30 or 45 days. But if you do that, then you're going to tend to certainly get into some sense of harvest delays. It may not be widespread or uniform, but a frequency of weather systems that will bring those kind of amounts in coverages throughout the Corn Belt and the Plain States areas as we move through the next, actually much of the fall season is what we're thinking here.
There are two terms that I know raise your blood pressure considerably. One is Groundhog Day, which meteorological people don't like.
Roadkill in the weather office.
Okay, and then the other one is the Old Farmer's Almanac.
Ah, yes.
Now, I talked to the senior associate editor this week.
But they are nice people out there, at least.
They're nice people. And she is saying for the winter time, the central part of the country will be warmer and less snowy than normal.
Okay.
But then the West Coast and the East Coast and the South will get maybe cooler temperatures. Have you looked at winter yet in your forecast?
We're thinking, as we were peddling and talking to folks at Farm Progress and East Central Illinois the past couple of weeks, early and often would be winter. So an early start to it, and you see a little bit of that on the 4-week forecast by mid to late October. So we're thinking kind of the opposite, where the ridge, the warmer, drier weather will be across the southwest and the southeastern states, and we're going to knock down that ridge and put a big old trough, the U-shaped configuration across the heartland. Now the jet is unusually strong for the time of year coming across the northern Pacific. It's what we call in the weather business a digging jet stream. It's trying to head northwest to southeast into the divide, the southern plains that spins up lows, and they track out to the north and northeast. So our thinking is we move into an early and often winter pattern during the mid and late fall, early winter season. Now, getting into mid to late winter, there's been speculation of a weak La Nina or weak El Nino. Either one of those, by our estimates, means active and moisture in the heartland. A transition to a stronger El Nino could very well then play out into a mid to late winter that does get a little milder and drier across the northern and central plains, the upper Midwest, Great Lakes region, whereby then you get systems through the southern plains, the southeast, and the eastern states. We're not ready to sign off on that yet or agree to it or go with that type of forecast, but it's out there. It's in our thinking right now that the first third to half of winter is tough, much better thereafter.
I'll take you over the groundhog and the Old Farmer's Almanac.
I hope I'm better looking than the groundhog.
Now, the last Saturday of September, coming up in a few days, I will be attending one of my favorite events, and that is at Peoples Valley, Arizona, which is in the area where that earlier fire did not destroy any buildings, but it did burn a lot of grass because that's kind of pasture country. And we'll be at Mon's West Fork Ranch for the annual Yavapai County Calf Sale and Barbecue.
Excellent.
And on the Friday, the day before, they have a permanent pit, put a lot of charcoal in the bottom, throw in what they call beef clods. That's 30 to 40 pounds, or about 30 pounds of beef wrapped in burlap and wire netting, and they throw them in about noon on Friday, and then they pull them out on Saturday at noon and serve about 1,400 people.
Wow.
And in addition, have a calf sale and some judging classes and things of that type.
I'd be there just to eat.
Oh, that's why we go. Absolutely. Well, plus the fact we get to see a lot of people and a lot of cowboys and people in the cattle business, which we enjoy. Last year, very, very hot the last Saturday of September. Is it going to be very hot in Arizona?
Not out of control, I would think, is what you would normally expect for a late September day in Arizona. I'm sure a lot of folks are going to be talking about the monsoon season in New Mexico, obviously Colorado, about the eastern half of Arizona, and parts of Utah have seen a decent monsoon season. Everyone else back to the west left high and dry again. So there'll be a lot of discussion about that, I'm sure, and probably looking pretty nice out there, green-wise, considering the time of year.
Well, Andy Grosetta, our rancher friend at Cottonwood, which is fairly close to Sedona, sent me an email saying the rains have been unbelievable for the desert. The Mogollon Rim, which runs kind of, I guess, northwest, southeast across the middle of the state, some areas there 29.5 inches of rain since the 1st of July. And it's unheard of in the desert.
Look at the Boulder area as well. They've had 30 inches of rain, and a little more than half of that has come over the past 2 weeks out there. So it's been phenomenal. I haven't seen a monsoon pattern that just stays stuck in one position. It will vary back and forth on a good summer pattern, but this year, incredible.
It's hanging in there.
Yep.
Well, you hang in there too, okay?
You do the same.
All right, will do. Thank you for joining us on Over a Cup.